Hello flossy friends who live in my phone, and welcome back to my channel. This is Flosstube number 8. If you haven't met me before, hello, my name is Pam. I'm a floss tuber, predominantly a cross stitcher, but I do other crafts as well, who lives in Murray in Scotland. This is, as I said, my 8th floss tube. I go by the name Ditsy Daisy Crafts here on Flosstube, YouTube, and also over on Instagram. As I said, if this is your first time here, welcome. I hope you enjoy being here. And to people who have been before and are returning, welcome back. I'm delighted that you've chosen to come back. As I've said before, that's the biggest compliment anyone could ever hope for. There's so many fantastic floss tubers out there to choose from. There's far too many floss tubers to fit into a lifetime. You could be watching 24/7 and still not scratch the surface. So the fact that you've chosen to come back is, thank you. I really, really appreciate it, and I mean that most sincerely. So, floss tube number 8. Let's hope it doesn't go like floss tube number 7 with all the technical nightmares that I experienced in that one. I've had a lot of time playing with trying to sort my phone out. And my laptop. Ironically, it was YouTube Studio on my phone which seemed to be causing the problems. Hopefully now that's fixed. Ailey has been busy and I've had other things going on in life, so we haven't had time to get together and figure out how she, as my new technical production manager, is how we're going to do things moving forward. So for now, for this floss tube, we're going old school. And I've got everything crossed that we have no more issues. Apart from the frustration of having to film everything twice last time and then having to film in 2 parts because phone wouldn't play, laptop wasn't being happy, all that nonsense. I felt really, really guilty because the second part of my video was where I get to shout out you lovely, lovely floss tubers who have razzled my berries. And not as many people, completely understandably, watched the second half of that video. The whole thing turned out much longer anyway because I was having to explain what had happened. So, you know, nowhere near as many people watched that second part of the video. And that's not a criticism because I completely understand. The first one was long enough in its own right. But it meant that those lovely floss tubers who I shouted out didn't get the recognition they deserved. So I feel quite bad about that. But hopefully it was a one-off glitch and things are going to be tickety-boo from here on in. So with that said, shall we get cracked on? I've got a fair bit of stitching to show you today, or I should say, sorry, I'm just moving something a bit closer to me. Lots of pieces of stitching. There's not necessarily huge amounts of stitching in all of them. But you know, when I said last time that my plans were to not have as many starts, to not be doing so many seasonal things, and not overwhelm myself. Yeah, lies I tell myself. That didn't quite work out that way. But I didn't get as much done on a lot of the things as I wanted to. My health hasn't been too great over the last few weeks. Nothing sinister. Just some low-key problems that are making life a bit unpleasant, and side effects from meds just make things 100 times worse. So I've not been as productive as I would have liked. I've had really serious headaches most days for the last few weeks, and they've kind of really messed with my ability to concentrate, focus and be productive. And I've even, I have to say, been working from paper patterns quite often when I have been stitching, because screen time is just not doing it for me. As a result, I am hugely behind in all things social media. I think I've caught up with YouTube comments. They're slightly easier for me to do because I can do them on my laptop. Instagram, I am behind on messaging, and I'm really sorry, I'm behind on messaging the people who I'm actually probably closest to, because maybe this is taken them for granted slightly, but I'm hoping that they'll maybe cut me a little bit more slack because they know me, and they know that I'm not deliberately ignoring them. I just have not got the capacity at the moment. But yeah, I'm hoping I will get on top of that. I'm hoping the headaches will go off and do their own thing elsewhere. So yeah, as a result, I haven't done as much stitching on each of the projects as I would necessarily have liked. The eagle-eyed amongst you will have possibly noticed that I have a new friend. This is Pedro. Pedro has joined my Flosstube channel purely because I have spent possibly as much time frogging the last couple of weeks as I have stitching. My focus has just obviously not been there, my concentration, and I've made silly counting errors. You know, one stitch out here throws a huge amount off, got to start from scratch, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that this very cute little guy up here will be the only frog I get to see moving forward. I'm hoping that frogs are as territorial as robins, and he will see off any frogs that try to encroach my space, and he will keep me in the happy frog zone, which is him and not Stitchy Frog. So yes, this is Pedro. I'm going to talk about him later for my Scottish word of the day. But so we have got a fair bit of stitching to get through, so I'm going to rattle on with that. I've got plans for you. I've got people who've razzled my berries. I've got brand new floss tubers. I've got existing floss tubers who are new to me. And I've got some people that I've mentioned before, but I have reason to mention them again. And then we have our Scottish word of the day. I have no haul to show you today. You know, I'm not really one for sharing haul unless there's a specific reason for it. So with that being said, let's crack on. So I shall move that notes to the side. So as usual, I've got everything written down because you know I'm a bear of very little brain. So I have got 2 starts and finishes so far this month. Nothing FFO'd, but hopefully by the end of the month these will be. So the first one is Bumblebee Kisses by Primrose Cottage. Now you'll have seen me stitch, if you've watched my videos before, I shouldn't take it for granted, several of these kisses over the last few months, and this just happened to be one I decided to do for kind of like a summer theme, which has been my theme this month. It's been a mixture of summer and catching up with whips. So really cute design, Summer Wishes and Bumblebee Kisses. It was a really quick stitch. I took this one with me to Craft and Chatter, and I have to say, I'm interrupting myself at this point regarding Craft and Chatter. I got to meet somebody who watches my channel. I had somebody reach out to me on Instagram saying that she also lived in Murray, and when we started chatting, it turns out she's only a few miles from where I live, next town over, and she was looking for a crafty group that kind of fitted around her work hours. So I mentioned the one I go to on a Thursday evening, so she came across and I got to meet her. How amazing is that? Literally just fabulous. And she got to meet the rest of the gang, and we all sat and blethered, and it was like we'd known each other for ages, so it was lovely. So yes, back to this. I took it with me on Thursday night because this is on Ada. You'll be able to see better on the back where it's not patterned. It's a 14 count printed fabric flare in honeycomb. In retrospect, I wish I'd got it on even weave. I don't think I probably meant to get it on this. I think I had one of those moments where, you know, you forget to change the drop down before you hit add to cart, but you can get it in an even weave as well. I got this from Lakeside Needlecrafts. I'm not sure about it. Actually, seeing it on the camera, it's not too bad. Maybe I've got another project with it I'm going to show you in just a second. It kind of muddles the background up ever so slightly. It gets a bit busy, but then if I put a decent border on it, if I take it, I don't know, what can I use? If I do it kind of like to there, you'll be able to see the pattern. I just thought the pattern was perfect for the subject matter. Excuse my scrabbly bits. So that's my first finish. I'd like to have this FFO'd by the end of the month, probably in the ply frames that I normally do. I'm hoping to have like an FFO day towards the end of the month, where anything I do finish will all just kind of get done in a oneer. So that's my first start and finish, and this is my second. This is Cherryhill Stitchery Bumble Honey Company. It says it on it, really straightforward. Again, I've used the same fabric. Again, it's perfect. And actually, the bit of fabric I got, I cut in half because there's a companion piece to this that I'm hoping to get done as well. So I was going to put one in each, but there was enough space on the bottom for this one. This is kind of literally the offcut at the bottom of the fabric here. So that worked out well. I'm hoping I have some left on the other bit as well, because I have a pile of, it's actually a big Shannon Christine chart with lots of different bee things on it, but I want to do them as smalls, make them into little cushions for a tier tray. Don't think that'll be happening this month, though. There's not going to be enough time for that, but I'm hoping there's enough of this fabric left to do maybe a couple, possibly 3 of those if I go for the small ones. So yes, this one is finished. I've done it with threads from Stash. The called for DMCs, I've just kind of matched what I've had rather than buying new. With these little seasonal ones, I don't tend to go to the expense of kitting up if I've not got it in Stash. The only thing that's different is I've got Weeks dye work here, Whiskey for the bee skeps, just to give them a little bit of oomph. Again, that's called for. That one is called for. So that's that one. Hoping to get that FFO'd at the end of the month. And like I say, I've got a companion piece to go with that. Don't think I'll get it finished. I could take it to craft group with me this Thursday, but the following Thursday it's not a normal crafty night, so I won't be taking anything with me to stitch that night. It's a little bit different, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. Shh. So yeah, that's my finishes, starts and finishes, both of them. I have got 8 new starts from the person who wasn't going to be doing many starts this month. Oops. So the first one will come as absolutely no surprise to you. It's my monthly La Finestra del Tempo from Crocette GoGo. This is September. He's a cutie. The hedgehog is almost finished. I've just got to fill in. He's got little pink cheeks to go in, and then he's got prickles that need to go in, but I'll add those last because they're long stitch. So I don't like doing them until the very end in case they get caught at any point. So if you've seen my videos before, you'll know I'm doing one of these every month, and they all have a little white dotted line that goes around them. I'm trying to think what this one's got. He's got, what's he got sitting on top of the books? I can't remember. And then there are some autumn leaves up here. What else have we got? We've got a big basket here, that's it, full of fruit and mushrooms, obviously for seasonal produce. And then this one, September being the longest word-wise month of the year, the word September, it takes up the whole width of the top of this one. So this one will get done before the end of the month. I'm probably halfway through. I did it at the start of the month and then popped it away while I worked on other things. So I really need to get back to this one. But you will see this one at the end of the month as an FFO. Hand on heart, because it needs to be, because it needs to go up on the 1st of September. So there's that one. The next one I've got here, sorry, I should show you. I'm telling you what's on it. You can see it there. So yeah, there's little acorn that sits on top of the books, obviously for back to school, for September, for here the kids go back to school in August. So yeah, you've got a little acorn sitting on the top, you've got some autumn leaves, another couple of acorns, and then this basket of fruit there with September across the top. I'm looking forward to doing the October one for Halloween. So that's that. Sorry, I'm just going to shuffle things around here because of course I'm running out of space because I've got too many sheets of paper on the go. So yes, the next one is this one. It's Shannon Christine sunflower sign. It's on black, nice bright colours, really straightforward. So I've chosen to do mine in, surprise, surprise, are you ready for this? It's going to be a shocker. Blue. You know me and my blue background. I do love a bit of blue fabric. So this is on 28 count Picture This Plus Twilight. Now I have to say this 28 stitches tighter than a 32 count I've got later on. In fact, I've got a couple of 32 counts which this stitches tighter than. But it's worth it because I love it. It's a really pretty fabric. So here am I there. So this I am just stitching with threads from Stash. I mean, we've all got loads and loads of white B5200 kicking around, and then I've just used threads from Stash that match the DMCs that are called for. The centre of the sunflower here is actually popping a little bit better on camera than it does in real life. I'm thinking once I finish the whole thing, which is not huge, there's another couple of sunflowers here. I'll show you the picture again. There's another, and then there's some smaller ones up the top there. I'm thinking that in the centre I might just pop some beads in, because it's not going to be in anything with glass over the top, and I just thought that might be quite nice. But the difference between the two colours which are in there as a checkerboard, it's actually picking up on camera better than it does in real life, which is kind of bizarre. So yeah, I am at, where am I, 25.54% on that at 773 stitches in this month. Although I have to say the fence stitched up quickly. Not expecting to get a huge amount more done on this month. I would like to get the 2 sunflowers. I'm not convinced I will. If I get 1 done, I'll take that as a win. 2 would be nice, but I'm not going to get this finished this month, and that's okay, because I can pick that up as and when the whim takes me. So my next one is, I've got 2 projects on the same theme, completely different projects, and that's about dragonflies. So this one, I'll show you the picture to start with. It's Silver Creek Samplers Dragonfly Dreams, and I just love this. I think it's so pretty. I love a Silver Creek sampler at the best of times. I love their font style, and I just thought this was a really nice little sentiment and a very pretty little design. So I have started that one. As I said before, these are all new starts, and I've not got stats for this one because it's not in Pattern Keeper. I've been stitching from the paper chart, but that is where I'm at. I'm stitching this on 32 count fabric flare even weave in sea glass, which is the most beautiful bluey green. It's a really subtle fabric. I just love it. I had originally wanted this fabric for the Emerald City stitch along, but it's just too pale. White doesn't pop on it at all, it just disappears. And I got a big bit of it in the hope that it would. So now I've got a fair bit left. So it works perfectly for this, although I have to say the colour of it, that's picking up the tones a little bit better. It's possibly slightly darker in real life than it's showing you there, but you can see that kind of, it's like a greeny blue. Sea glass is the perfect name for it. It's lovely. So I have finished all the writing, and I've done this little dragonfly here. There's obviously the big dragonfly to do across here, and then a couple of smaller ones up here, and then just continue the border and add in a couple of hearts. Now this I have stitched with the called for DMCs, all the called fors. Apart from this pink here, I have changed the pink ever so slightly just to make it a bit softer. It was more of a kind of rusty pink and a bit darker. I don't know again if it'll pick up well the difference there, but yeah, I just changed it. I wanted something a little bit softer. So that's what we've done. That's what I've done this month. I'd like to have this one finished before the end of the month. I really would. Not sure what I'm going to do with it when it's finished, but I would like it finished. So as I said, I've got this, and my next one, there's the theme, is dragonflies. But my next one is completely different. It's a peppermint purple chart, and it's a combination of cross stitch and black work. Peppermint purple are predominantly a black work designer. They do fabulous charts. I've got loads sitting in the waiting to start pile, and when I saw this one, it would sit in my wish list anyway. I thought it would just be the perfect companion piece to Dragonfly Dreams. This one is called Center Stage Dragonfly. There's a whole series of kind of ones where there's a center stage motif. I've changed the colour scheme up ever so slightly to match the other one, in the theory that at least if I am displaying them somewhere near each other, they are sympathetic to each other, and they don't clash in any way. So that is the design. Now I have to say, this is really slow going. It's nowhere near as fast as cross stitch, and I've got this in the frame and I've got some threads attached because you kind of jump around a fair bit. So I've not achieved a huge amount in this because it's concentration heavy and it's really delicate and fiddly, but that's where I'm at. So I'm about a quarter of the way through. It repeats. It's a symmetrical square, all four corners. Matched, it's symmetrical in every plane. I haven't put the border in around it yet. I was in two minds about whether I would or not, but I think I will. I think I'll go back to these blues to go around the border because it's heavy on the greens around the border at the moment. And that will hopefully tie up the blues coming through the dragonflies and into this central motif here. The pink is kind of going to be everywhere as well, so that hopefully will just pull it all together. I have to say, I was stitching on this earlier today, and it's like it's slow going, and it requires concentration. And I normally, if I'm doing black work, do it on Ada, but this of course is that 32 count, so you know there's an extra element of trying to make sure everything is in the right place when you're dotting around in different places. So I sat and I watched the lovely Charlie Feathers, her latest floss tube this morning, and her voice just soothed me as I stitched, so I didn't get too frustrated and I was able to enjoy the process. But there's lots and lots of hours of stitching left in this beastie yet. It's not going to be finished this month. If I manage to get the bottom half finished, I'll have done really well. So we'll see. So there's that one. Are you impressed at how quick I'm being today? I'm trying to be very quick so that my phone doesn't die as much as anything else. So the next one I have got here, the next project, lots and lots of you will have seen, and it's this one. It's Hands-On Design Moor Beach, which is just perfect for me. I just love it. I hope the light's okay. I'm trying to make the most of the last of the summer light. I'm just going to say I've got a couple of little lights here on this. Will this make any difference? They tend to cut off. Hopefully that helps a little bit, but we've got beautiful sunshine today, and I kind of wanted to make the most of the last of the natural light. Obviously summer days are slowly ebbing away as we rattle towards the burr months, the best months of the year, the burrs, but the light isn't so good. So yeah, hopefully that little bit of pop of extra light will make a difference. Excuse me. So yes, back to Moor Beach. I love this. If you've been here before, you'll know that, well, we're coastal. We live very near to the coast here. I actually grew up in a village where you could hear the waves at night when it was quiet. So coastal stitches are very much my thing, and I've got a few coastal stitches done. I've got a few more I want to do, different things that eventually, whenever it happens, this decade, next decade, 20 years, who knows, when Ailey does finally settle down and move out, her room is going to become a guest room that's going to be all seaside themed. So there's no rush to finish this one because it's not going to be happening anytime soon. But I just loved it. And we've always got a thing in our family as well about the seagulls from Finding Nemo. Mine. Yeah, we've got a bit of a soft spot. We've got Ailey the loungefly seagull bag, because it's a bit of an inside joke. So yes, this one was perfect to do. I would have been further along had I not had to frog probably 3/4 of that text and restitch it. I got everything bar at you stitched and then thought, that doesn't line up the way it should be. And it was one silly little counting error and then another silly little counting error through the whole thing. And I had to frog it all, hence Pedro coming to stay, which was very, very frustrating. And when I wasn't feeling well at the best of times and I had a headache and just the world was not the happy, fluffy little cloud I wanted it to be, I had pushed my buttons. But the text is now in, and the first seagull is almost gone. He needs some legs. But yeah, he's getting there. This is on my favourite 32 count Post Stitches Lightning Strike. I love this fabric so much. I just, yeah, I love it. And it's absolutely perfect for this. It's reading a bit dark there. Maybe not quite that intense in real life, but it's just perfect for this stitch. And it's actually same kind of idea as the, what's the word? It's completely gone. The stitch that somebody very kindly stitched to show it when it was finished. I cannot remember that. It's not a demo stitch. Sample! Such a hard word, sample. Words are hard. So yes, that's where we're at with this. This one I do have stats for. It's 1,051 stitches in, which is a lot of stitches, and it, you know, doesn't look like over 1,000 stitches there, but it is, and that is at 28.68%. So considering that size-wise the text takes up a good whack of the design, it just shows how stitch dense the beach huts and the seagulls are, that I'm, you know, still only at 28%. You know, if you take that out, it would be less than a quarter. So yeah, again, no rush to finish this one by the end of the month. Quite nice to have this seagull and his buddy there done, so at least he's got somebody to talk to. But the other seagulls and that, I'm not expecting to have done by the end of the month. So that's that one. Next up, I've got two projects from the same designer. The first time I've stitched this designer, which is ridiculous given how many I have got saved in my files that I've bought from Etsy, and also I have the book, but it's one of those I have loads to start and I'm not quite sure which one to start with. So I jumped in and did two. The first one is one that I would imagine most of you will have seen. It's been so popular. This one, Atlantic Shore. I know lots and lots of people have stitched this. Helen D off the top of my head, I can't think, but lots of people have stitched this, and I love this as soon as I saw it, long time ago, because it's quite typical of our coastline. You know, we've got forests right up to the water, forest dune, also maybe not quite so many rocks where I am, but lovely, beautiful sandy beaches and hills and mountains in the background. Where I live, I'm on one side of the Moray Firth, and you can see the mountains on the other side of the firth in the distance. Not clearly at all, but this kind of, you know, there's an impression of them being there. So this is very, very appropriate for where I live. And it's lovely. It's a nice stitch, although I have to say there's lots of fractionals to get that lovely curve on the waves. And it's been a while since I've stitched fractionals, and I'm like, oh, it slows you down. But it's worth it, and it's quite, repetitive isn't the right word. There's kind of like a pattern within it, so that the colour blends work really nicely and softly. But it's a relaxing stitch, and I think once I get past the waves, I think they'll be the ones that require the most concentration, obviously, to kind of make sure that the wave curls in the right direction and all that, and also the tree. I can see it being a really, you know, one of those stitches that just takes you into the zone, and time passes that you're not aware of, and it's just a really relaxing experience. So that's it. I have made a small start. It's not remotely impressive. Please don't get excited. But it is started. And that's it here. I have done literally the very bottom. I've started the base of the tree and I've done that first with 2 rows of the blue of the waves. That's 682 stitches, which puts me at 8.44%. I imagine other bits will stitch up quicker than this has, but that's okay. It's not a race. I'm not expecting this up anytime soon. It's not going to be finished this year. That's okay. I'm just looking forward to the process with this. I've heard it's a really enjoyable stitch, and that's what I'm going to focus on, not the making progress, the enjoying it. So that is my Atlantic Shores. I do have a temptation to actually take it to the beach and sit and stitch with it on the beach. This weather is just so glorious. I'm not sure when we'll get the opportunity. The next few weeks are a bit all over the place. But my plans for the rest of the month, I will be happy if I get up to the sand and the grass. So get up to there. I'll be happy with that as progress for the month. And then I'll just go into the normal whip rotation. I think some of these might, even though they're kind of seasonal, they're not necessarily seasonal, if that makes sense. So yeah, some of these you'll see over the next few months, possibly, who knows, however the whim takes you. So the next one I've got is another Max Pigeon Coop. This is one I've downloaded from Etsy a long time ago, and this is Quebec, or Quebec. Is it Quebec it's pronounced? I don't want to offend our Canadian friends in any way, shape or form, because you're so lovely and polite and I would hate to be rude. So yes, this one you have got the same scene. So you've got spring, summer, autumn and winter. I'm currently working on summer. Pigeon Coop have got lots of these little diamond shape vignettes almost. There's a whole series of different ones that are different parts of Canada. So you've got all sorts of different shoreline scenery, all that kind of thing, all quite different from each other. But I really like this set of 4 because it shows the same viewpoint, the same scenery from the same viewpoint, as I said, at 4 different times of the year. So you can see how things change through the year. So my thought with this, I was a bit kind of late to the party, tardy to the party, that I would stitch these seasonally. And I only just started it here in August, as we're about to turn into autumn. So I thought I can play catch up. That's okay, I can play catch up. And I'm going to treat this one as the season's changing on the equinox. So I think it's that Monday the 21st of August. That's a conversation I will have again in a few minutes when I talk about plans, about how we call seasons differently. But this one I'm not going to just go September, October, November is autumn, because there's no way I'm going to get this finished before the end of this month, because there's actually a fair amount of stitching in these. So I will show you the progress I have made. It's not huge. I am choosing to do mine slightly differently. I'm not setting them up like that. I have set mine on the diagonal. So this is my box here for spring, and this is my start here on summer, which is, as I said, it's not a huge start, and these are full coverage within the box. So I'll have autumn here and then winter down here. And it's a really nice little stitch. I thoroughly enjoy this. Getting the boxes right, making sure I had 39 stitches in each side. There was one of them where I was half a stitch out and I couldn't figure out where, and I eventually got there. But this and Atlantic Shores, I'm stitching them both with the called for DMC flosses on a 28 count white even weave. And I have to say, I don't like the even weave. I got yards of the stuff from Lovecrafts. They were getting rid of all their cross stitch fabrics and all that, so I got a huge amount of fabric when they were having that sale. It was at really, really good prices, and I never looked at this. My thought had been it would be a nice cheap way of getting colour fabrics, because I would dye it myself. And I got the 28 because that way, if it shrinks with the dyeing process, with obviously boiling water, it would still be pleasant enough to stitch on. But I don't know how well it'll pick up. It's a really open weave. It looks more like linen than it does even weave, in that it's so open, and it's really, really see-through. It's not shown through very well there, because my hand's not a very exciting colour. Will that work better? You know, it's really, really see-through. Whereas I like an even weave that's a bit sturdier. But it'll be fine for this, because as I said, within the boxes they are full coverage, so it doesn't really make any difference. And my plan is I will frame this with an offset square. It's going to be kind of like on the squint, it'll be a diamond shape. I'm just going to turn the whole thing and then put a new hanging on the back of the frame. So that is that one. That's my 2 pigeon coops, and I've got another one to start next month, and I was even thinking about a 4th. There are so many on the Etsy shop and in the book. You could be stitching pigeon coop every day and still not be bored. They're so beautiful. So yeah, I think that's the last of my second last of my new stitches. This is the last one. Lots of you will have seen this cute little bug. This is Ladybug Picnic by Hands On Design. I'm stitching this on 32 count Fibre on a Whim Blueberry. It's a kind of lovely bluey purple. Rather than the kind of called for, I think this guy's, yes, it's pink. He's his called for fabric was, I'm just trying to think what colour the bee was. Was that kind of more of a turquoisey blue, tealy colour? I can't remember. We'll hopefully find out soon enough though, because that's the companion I'm going to stitch along with this one. But my my promise to myself was I would finish this one before I started the bee. What's the bee one called? I can't remember. So yes, so I finished the actual ladybug itself, and I've just got all the flowers around the outside to do, and then, and only then, will I allow myself to start the bee. Yeah, so I've had plenty of bee stitches already this month, which is really, really, I've kind of thought, I'm doing lots of bees. It's August, it's, you know, the bees are still all over in the lavender. It's bee season. It's a good month to stitch bees. But because I stitched Celebrate Bees last month, the Madame Chantilly tier, I'm like, well, no, I don't want to work on the same whip 2 months in a row. So it's covered in bees, and I've not stitched it for Bee Stitch Month, but hey, it'll maybe come back at next month. But in the meantime, I'm just loving this little guy. I am stitching this in the called for DMCs. I didn't see the point on getting the overdyed for such small areas. The only place you maybe would have seen it would be some of the greens, but then these leaves have got 2 greens in them already, so you know there's only a few stitches, you wouldn't really notice the variegation. Possibly in the red, but there's enough going on with all the different patterns that you don't need it. It would just maybe be too busy. So yeah, I would like by the end of the month to have this one finished, and maybe, if I'm a good girl, let myself start on the Queen. I cannot for the life of me remember what kind of, it's something Queen, something bee. It'll come back to me in the middle of the night. I shan't record anything to tell you at 3 o'clock in the morning or wherever it comes back. So that's all my my new starts. So now I've just got 4 whips to show you. So you've seen all of these before. I've done a little bit more work on them. First one, I've got there's not a huge amount of difference in this one. This is Emerald City, the stitch along that Jen has arranged from Jen's Stitchy Corner. I haven't done, all I've added since the last time you saw this is Toto in Onyx, because I'm still not decided what flosses I want to use. I'm still not convinced that I've got a vibrant enough yellow for the Yellow Brick Road, and I'm still not convinced that I've got enough of a difference between the two colours in the house. This is Weeks Dye Works Driftwood and Palomino, and you can see more of a difference there than you can in real life, but I'm not sure. I'm wondering if I need a little bit more darkness to balance Toto. I'll show you the picture. I have to say my copy is very crumpled and creased now, but this is what it's going to look like when it's all done. So yeah, you can see here the house has got, you know, a much bigger difference between the two browns used. The Yellow Brick Road pops a lot more. I haven't started Dorothy yet because I've not found a blue that I'm happy with for her dress. I've got a few more coming. I think they're meant to be delivered on Tuesday, so I'm hoping the right one is in there. If not, then I'm just going to have to make a decision and go for it. So I've got Dorothy to do, and also the witch's legs and feet down there. And other than that, the only part, because the first section is kind of there, and then up to the Yellow Brick Road. I've got these two designs here, elements, kind of like, my words are not coming today. Words are hard. But little design features. I haven't decided how I want to do those yet, so I'm going to leave those till later on in the process. I'm thinking possibly beads. I'm not sure. Any beading that I'm going to do on this, which I'm planning on doing a few bits of beads, I'll only do at the very, very end to save any damage in the meantime. So I'm going to leave those and see. I might do some of it in cross stitch and then just do small bits of embellishment. I'm not sure, but yeah, this purple here, and then this is kind of blues and yellows. I'm going to hang fire. So really the main bit I need to do is Dorothy, and then we move on to the second part, which is this one here. I don't think I'll have the second part finished by the end of this month, but that's okay because it's into September before we start the third part. Can't remember the date off the top of my head. We started on the 21st of July. So yeah, I'm kind of a little behind schedule on this, but I know that I can make that time up. Whether it's in this part or as we start to go up. I'm not stressed about falling behind a little bit. I can make that up. That's not an issue. I just need to actually be decisive and figure out what I want to do. I'm overthinking this to the nth degree because that's just who I am. I can overthink anything. So, but yeah, I'm not yet sure. I've tried a couple of different yellows for this Yellow Brick Road. It might end up Pedro coming out yet, and I'm not sure about this. And as you can see here, Toto, he is quite dark. He draws your attention. I could have done with a slightly lighter black, if that makes sense, but at the same time, this dress needs to be in black, and obviously this needs to be in black. So, but it very much pulls your eye to those three things because tonally they are so much darker. So part of me thinks I might take the roof and the door frame and that out, unpick it and do it in a darker one just to see if I can add some more balance. But I'm not making that decision now. I'm going to wait until it grows a little bit and see how I'm feeling about it. There's no hard and fast rules, but that's where I'm at. So as I've said to you before, this is a free pattern from Owl Forest Embroidery. It's already divided into 11 stitch along parts because it originally ran as a stitch along, I think was it 2019, I think. So it's all set up. The installments are not huge by any stretch. does come with a DMC conversion from the original Old Forest flosses, which you can still get as a floss pack if you order direct from them. If you are going to order direct, either get a big order or get other people to share with you, because the carriage, the postage is hefty. So don't order just for that. But the chart itself is free, DMC conversion. I'm just choosing to be pernickety and use some over dyes and be a little bit different / awkward. So yeah, that's when I'll keep. Obviously I'm going to be working on that for a few months yet, so you'll see it plenty of times now. The other stitch along I have been working on, as I've mentioned before, is the Catkin and Lily Patreon one that Kat has put together. It's kind of a stitchy things stitch along it's now become. Originally started off with a Primrose Cottage stitching rules, which lots of people, Kat included, are stitching, but there are lots of us doing different stitching related charts, which is lovely to see. Kat's Patreon has a fabulous interactive forum and community who've been posting pictures. I haven't, because as I said, I've been useless when it comes to social media. I've just been avoiding it. So I need to go. Actually, I haven't put a photo of the second part on here. So the original design, as I said, was the Primrose Cottage stitching rules, which comes in 7 kind of distinct rules. So it made sense that there were 7 parts to it. My design, there are only 6 parts to, but I was tardy starting, so that's okay. So I decided that I would like to stitch this, which is my big toe design. Now what's it actually called? Time to Stitch, a Serenity-ish prayer, because that sums it all. I'm assuming you can read that it's the right way around for you, but just in case you can't, it says, God grants me the ability to stitch the stash I have, to have the stash I want, and the time to stitch it all. Which I think sums up probably all of our sentiments. So I am stitching that on, it's a 32 count fabric flare even weave in grey swirl. You can see the swirling there really clearly. I see that's those lights gone out already, and they were charged. But yeah, you can see that the swirl really clearly. So I started off here, I've come up and I've done the top line of text. There's now a decorative border here, another 2 lines of text and another border at the bottom. Haven't decided yet whether I'm going to do the other 2 lines of text first, or whether I'm going to do the border and then work my way downwards. I need to sit and work out what would be what month and what stitching I've got thinking about for that month, and what's happening in real life and what time there's going to be. Overthinking it all. It's me. I wouldn't be me if I didn't overthink it. So yeah, that's my 2 stitch alongs. That one is on Kat's Patreon. Definitely worth a look at her Patreon. It's incredibly reasonably priced, and she's very generous with what she offers in her Patreon. So if you're interested in doing that, that's where you need to go. And as I said, Jen Stitchy Corner has arranged the Emerald City one. She set us up a Facebook group so that we can all kind of chat about it and post our photos of our progress in that. I will put the information below for both of those stitch alongs. It's absolutely not too late to join either of them if you fancy it. So that just leaves me 2 whips that you have seen before that I've been working on. This one I started on June the 11th. That was the first anniversary of losing our little Zach. So this is Rainbow Crossing from Silver Creek Samplers. In fact, I'll take that a bit closer for you. So yeah, it's a memorial for the pets that we have lost. So I've actually got a fair bit into this. I've added in, where am I? Almost half of what's there. It was at 1,580 stitches. It's now at 3,045. So yeah, almost another 1,500 stitches. So the last time you saw this, it's too big to peek over. I think I had about half of the bridge done. I think I'd got all of the bottom done and maybe half the balustrade. So I had the paw print in, and I'd done this side off. I'm just thinking I've missed a little bit of grey there. I was wondering why it looked so white. So yeah, I'd kind of done this and started coming towards the water. So this month I have completely finished all the water going across, and I've started filling in, going up the landscape there. So it's a lovely stitch. I am really enjoying it. I'm stitching it on 28 count fabric flare. I use quite a lot of fabric flare fabrics because they're easy to get in this country. That's Cloud Spring Sky, so it's one of the softer blues. So yeah, Spring Sky is absolutely right. It hasn't got the brightness of today's sky. It's much more subtle. And yeah, so that's that. I'd like to get some more stitches in it by the end of this month. I would like to, if possible. You saw that I had just kind of like hit the bottom of this tree. I'd like to get that tree in, certainly get that tree finished, and I'd like to make a start on this rainbow, and obviously put my little bit of rock in that I'd missed. And then I've got a few little clouds to go. I don't think I'll get as far as them this month, and that then just leaves me the text, which is obviously going to be the slowest part of the stitch. This part has been stitching up really quickly and easily. But I know my progress will slow down when it comes to time to that text. I have to say, it feels like I have stitched a lot of text this month. Some of it twice. Between that and the Dragonfly Dreams and More Beach, it's been text heavy. And my Serenity one. So that's 4 projects. Although I haven't stitched the text on this yet. But yeah, I've had 3 projects that there's been a lot of text stitched. And another one I've been working on, which is a secret one that I can't show you at the moment. So the last one I have got for you of my whips is a favourite. This one was started on the 12th of June, so only the day after Rainbow Crossing, and this was done to celebrate Ailey's birthday. It was a birthday start for her. She was still in Florida at that time, and it's Robin Pickens' Gathering Bright Blooms. There we go there. I say this every time, I just love this design so much. It's so bright and cheerful and vibrant, and all those things that Ailey is, which is why I chose to do this, because it kind of made me feel close to her when she was still away. So this I am doing on a fabric I have dyed myself. You can see there's a couple of marks here where the hoop's been sitting. It was an Enlarge hoop, but they're far enough out, it's not going to be an issue. It's just a little bit annoying. So self-dyed fabric, I'm just trying to think, it's a 32 count. A lovely deep blue so that those colours pop. The last time you saw this, I had these 4 flowers done. Since then, I've added the 2 dotted lines to the flowers, and I'm kind of about halfway through the 3rd flower in this row. So I've added in so far 757 stitches this month. Plan for the rest of the month, finish this one and get that one in. That seems it's going to be squishing it time wise, but it seems a sensible place to get it. I'm just trying to think, what is that? The remaining flowers. Oh, they're not too bad. They're not too bitty. It's this yellow tulips down here. So yeah, that way I've got this 4. I can do another month, possibly not next month, maybe October. I don't know. So yeah, we'll see. And then I've just got the frame to do. I'm not expecting to have it done by the end of this year, but it's not going to be still on the go this time next year. I would like to think it's certainly going to be finished by the time she gets to her next birthday. Whereabouts in the world she's going to be in her next birthday, I have no idea. She doesn't know at the moment, but that's all very exciting. That's part of the joy of being young and free and not having responsibilities holding you back. Oh, sorry, that was a pencil rolling across the table in case you wondered what it was, and I'm just going to write a note before I forget. So that is all my stitching. So where am I? Let's just see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 14 bits of stitching. And what is today? I never said that at the start, did I? Today is 17th of August? Yes, 17th of August. So 14 projects in 17 days. Got my hands on. That's not too bad. So yeah, hopefully a couple of those might be finishes by the end of the month. Hopefully we'll have some FFOs. So this seems now a sensible time to talk about plans. So in addition to the kind of the plans I've spoken about as I've gone through each of those pieces individually, I've got a few other kind of things I've thought about and I've jotted down to remind myself. The first one is the most exciting. I am getting ready to start stitching Gathering Acorns with the lovely Jason at Jason X Stitches. And I felt really bad because, again, when I had my technical poober last time I recorded a couple of weeks ago, I was just about to talk about Jason and this stitch along that we are kind of going to do together. And it got cut off literally as I started talking about it. That went into the second act, if you like, and it was a Flosstube in 2 acts. So again, possibly maybe people didn't hear it. But yes, Jason has mentioned it now on his channel a couple of times, and I have here. This will be my kind of second proper time. We have decided, I didn't get a copy of it to show you. Let me just see if I can find a copy on my iPad. That's not going to let me do it that way. There's bound to be a way. Please bear with me in my very best Miranda voice. Bear with. Ailey does that. Have I got Gathering Acorns sitting on here? No, I haven't. Epic fail. I'm very sorry. Why can't I find it? There we go. So this is it here. It's, where are we? I'm just trying to think. Cottage Garden Samplings? Yes, Cottage Garden Samplings. I brain fart for a moment there. So that's it there. And I've mentioned this chart a few times. Because I got it when we were at the Nimble Thimble, because Bruce saw it and really liked it, because he's got a soft spot for red squirrels and I've got a soft spot for Bruce. So I was going to stitch it with him in mind because he liked it so much. But there's just something about the way it's stitched that I'm not convinced about. So I've spoken about this a couple of times, and when I'd spoken about it is when Jason had said, oh, I really fancy stitching that too. Shall we do it? So we've decided that we're going to do it as a stitch along. It's obviously an autumn stitch by its theme, its subject matter. So we were talking about when we would start, and this is where the differences between cousins on different sides of the pond comes in. I would suppose, strictly, if we were going to be pernickety about it, we would class autumn, legally isn't the word, but officially, meteorologically, she's trying to say that word, the same way as Jason and the American contingent would, that it's the by equinox, the autumnal equinox, and so it's about the 21st, 22nd of the month, depending how it falls. But more colloquially here, we would think of autumn as being September, October, November. You'd kind of like, we divide the year into 4 seasons of 3 months. So we would have September, October, November, rather than 21st of September to the 21st of December, for example. December would kind of fall into winter for us. So there's that kind of dichotomy on and how we both look at it. So our compromise has been, we'll start on Monday, 21st of September, because that's the other difference on both sides of the pond. Here in the UK, our weeks start on a Monday. The other side of the pond, they start on a Sunday. Very, very different. I can't quite understand how that works, because it means your weekend is split between 2 weeks, because your weekend is the Sunday of the previous week and the Saturday of the week that you're working through, which doesn't make sense. Whereas our weekends come at the end of a working week, Monday to Friday, and then the Saturday, Sunday, before we start again on the Monday. So the compromise has been we will go for Monday the 21st. So still loads and loads and loads of time if you want to stitch that. I know there are lots of people stitching it already. So if you want to come and join just to say hi, I mean, it's going to be informal. Jason and I are both overthinkers, over planners, over organisers, but at the same time quite easy-osy and not going to put any pressure on ourselves or anybody else, and just planning to enjoy the process. So I was watching Jason's latest Flosstube the other day, and I was thinking about this stitch, and I had a ping light bulb moment of how I think I would like to stitch it, and it's been bouncing around in my head ever since. I think I know what I want it to look like. I haven't figured out how I'm going to get it to look like that yet, how it's going to stitch up, the best way of making it happen. It might not look in real life like it looks in my head, but I think that's the direction I'm going to take it in. I'm not going to talk about it now, because it might change between now and then, and I don't want to tempt fate. But yeah, I've got an idea of what I want to do. Jason has his own ideas. He's incredibly creative at adapting patterns, adapting charts to show his own creativity, and I imagine, will probably do it in a different way. And we've also got Tommy from Tommy Creates, who is another incredibly creative individual and an awesome person, just like Jason. The two of them are, yeah, they're really special people, and they're really creative people who will look at something from a different point of view, and put their own spin on it. So I'm really excited to see what Tommy does with this chart as well. I'm kind of feeling a little bit of pressure because they both are so good. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be really lame compared to them. But what does it say? Comparison is the thief of joy. So I'm not going to let that stop me playing with it the way I would like to. But if you're interested, there's still plenty of time. You still got over a month before that start date to kit it up. And even if you don't get to start it then, if you fancy it, you're more than welcome to jump in at any point you want to. Haven't figured out things like hashtags, if we're doing that or that yet, or if it's, hashtags are useless on Instagram these days anyway. So we'll see how that works. So yes, there's that going to be. What else I've got? I've got currently sitting about another 4 cross stitch charts, which I had thought I could start this month. One of them would be a restart, because I did start it earlier in the month and I wasn't happy with the floss I chose. It was just the darker parts of the variegation worked, the lighter part just disappeared onto the fabric. So Pedro helped me frog it. So that'll be a restart. But it's another one that it's a no rush. I'm trying to think what the others are. Oh yeah, there's one that's just because I want to start it, because it's there and I'm excited about it. There's the companion bee one on the honeycomb fabric, and there's a companion bee to match the ladybug. So yeah, that's those. I've also got some other crafting projects I would like to try and do some work on this next couple of weeks. It's not all going to happen. and as much as I've spoken about plans I would like to achieve with the things I've already started this month, trying to get a few more stitches on them. We'll see how the month takes us. It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. I'm hoping my health is slightly better and I get a little bit more done. Bruce is going to be going away on Wednesday to Shetland for 3 weeks. So I won't have him around for those 3 weeks. I shall miss him terribly, especially in the evenings and the weekends, obviously. But that might mean more stitchy time, more opportunity, because, you know, I prefer to spend my time with him when he's around. I'll still stitch in the evenings, and we'll just hang out together and chill. But weekends and that, we tend to do stuff. Although I am making the most of a window of opportunity, because Ailey's off doing social things with her friend. The two of them are off out for the afternoon, and Bruce is doing manly Tim the Toolman Taylor type things. So I thought, right, I'm going to grab this opportunity to film, because the next few days are kind of be in and out. I've got, and this is the kind of the flip side, I've got a few appointments and trips and things coming up over the next few days, ferrying Ailey back and forward to the airport because she has to fly to London on Tuesday for an appointment on Wednesday, and then pick her up Wednesday night when she flies home. Yeah, so she's got appointments over the next couple of weeks that I have to play mum taxis, because she, you know, I need the car when she's away, because we're squabbling over one car at the moment. She's also started a part-time job just for the next little while. So she's using the car for that. So sometimes I'm stranded, sometimes it's, you know, I'm going to have to drop her off, pick her up, so that I can have the car in the meantime, that kind of thing. Because obviously Bruce will have his own car. And so yeah, there might be more crafting time, but it might be impeded slightly. We'll just have to see. I'm hoping I get good stitchy opportunity, and I'm hoping that I can focus better and not struggle with concentration so much that I'm feeling better. A headache-free day would be just bliss. I'm not worried about them. They're just annoying. They're an inconvenience. So yeah, hopefully I'll get good stitching time in over the next couple of weeks between now and when I next see you. But like I say, there's a fair amount in the diary already with appointments and things. He obviously isn't going to be back until as well into September before he's home. So yeah, we'll take that as it comes. Of all the things I want to stitch on, I'm not planning I'm going to stitch on this day or whatever. I'm just going to free and easy it and just see what interests me on that day. So what progress I make on existing projects, I don't know. What new starts I'll have, I'm not sure. But I will be back in a couple of weeks to show you. So what else have I got plan wise? Obviously I want to get up to date with those sals. As much as I'm not putting pressure on myself to be up to date, and I have, you know, leeway to do things, at the same time I don't like kind of falling too far behind and playing catch up, because then I feel like I've got to be doing that rather than other stitching or whatever. And I want to start making progress on Emerald City, because I've kind of thought myself into a corner, and itty bitty molehill, big mountain, trying to decide about flosses. Now I've got so many different greens now to try and decide which. It was an excuse to buy fancy floss. Don't tell anyone. So yeah, I need to start actually buckling down and try and get what's in my head onto the fabric. Other plans, the biggie, which is stitching tangent but not really, is I need to get back to being on Instagram and posting and commenting and even seeing things, because I've just not been on Instagram. I'm behind on messaging. It's taken me all my effort to kind of catch up with YouTube comments, and I love the YouTube comments. I love having conversations and chats with people, and you know, kind of getting to know people who kind of come back and comment on different videos, or we'll have a conversation. I love that, and I've been feeling quite bad about it, so I know I need to knuckle down and try and just, yeah, get back to it. It's funny how, because I've not been doing it so much, because like I say, I've not been doing screen time so much, and there's been other things going on, and like I say, health has been playing up and all this kind of stuff. It's hard to get back into, which is ridiculous, because it's something you can just dip in and out of. But again, it's me. I've overthought it. And I'm one of these people, if I don't do it there and then, when I think about it, when I, you know, at the time, I forget to get back to it. I remember that I need to do it, normally when I'm driving and I can't do anything about it, or I'm somewhere that I can't do anything about it. So I'll be driving along and be like, I've got a message I need to send, or I need to reply to somebody, or I need to do this. And then it's completely gone by the time I get home. And then I'll be out in the car again another time. Ping, it'll come back. So it's not personal. Absolutely, it's not personal. And I feel really bad. As I say earlier, I've been trying to dip in and catch up with messages, but the people who I have not yet replied to are the people who I consider my closest friends in this flossy world, who I'm hoping know me well enough that they will cut me some slack and not take it personally, and understand that it's just real life. It's getting in the way, and I need to get caught up with that. I need to be better at that. I've not been posting photos on Instagram so much because I've been dipping in and out of stitching, and it's just been a bit of a foobar mess. Everything, it's funny, even since Ailey came home. So that's what, she's been home 5 weeks? Yeah, it'll be 5 weeks this week. My routines, everything has just completely changed. And I'm kind of floating around in a sea of where the tide takes me at the moment. I need to try and get that routine back. And even though she's working now, she's working in a nice hotel in the next town over, so it tends to be afternoons, evenings. Oh, she's just appeared. I've just seen her car pull up, well, my car pull up outside. So yeah, so that, you know, I'm not used to waking up and having my routine in the morning, all that, because she's in the house, and I'm trying to be quiet because, well, she's 24, but she's an overgrown teenager, and she's working into the evenings, and she excels at bed rotting in the morning, social media scrolling, or reading, and then she'll get up and she'll do a bit of stitching. She's still loving her stitching. She's not loving Merida's hair. Merida has an awful lot of hair, and she's not loving stitching that, but she's loving her Highland Coo. I'm trying to think what the cow's called. Tulip. She's loving stitching on Tulip, who's coming together beautifully. So yeah, my routine has been absolutely chapot the last month or so. So I need to get back and be more active on social media, and more responsive with that. Other than that, I've obviously got a Christmas stitching day on the 25th of this month, and a Halloween stitching day on the 31st of this month. That was kind of plans I put in last month, that I would try and do one day a month, focusing on each, because I have so many seasonal pieces for those two things. And other than that, it's really just looking ahead to September, what I want to stitch. The birds are my favourite months. Autumn is my absolute favourite time of year. It seems to be kind of universally everybody's favourite time of year. So again, I've got lots and lots of things I would like to stitch. I'll be sensible about what to choose. Obviously, my little squirrel gathering acorns. I've got Olivia ochre leaf I'm going to start. Yeah, I did have an owl forest when I was going to start, but I'm going to leave it till next year. I'm not going to have another, because there's lots of other big projects I want to do. And I've got some smalls as well, and I am going to try not to be ridiculous and start too many things. Having said that, the last time I saw you and then gone ahead and done exactly that, started too many. So that's the plans. Try and make progress on what I've already been working on the last couple of weeks. I've got a few new starts that, if I get the opportunity, I would like to get some stitches in. I'll have a couple of things at least to FFO by the end of the month. Well, I've already got 2. I need to have at least another 1, if not another 2 on top of that would be quite nice, but I don't know if it'll happen. And yeah, I would like to think that when you next see me, I will have some different things to stitch on. Speaking of when you're next going to see me, I was humming and hawing about whether I wanted to move to weekly floss tubes instead of fortnightly, because I actually miss blathering with you. I really like it. I feel like I've got you here with me, if that makes sense, even though I haven't, and some of you are literally the other end of the planet. I enjoy our chats, our time together. I really like our time together, and I like the conversations that result of that time together, even if I've not been quite as quick off the mark replying as I would like to be. So yeah, I'm humming and hawing about moving to once a week. It's difficult getting peace and quiet in the house. I feel very self-conscious if there's somebody else in the house, which is ridiculous because Bruce and Ailey are both so incredibly encouraging and supportive. But yeah, it's just a self-conscious thing. So if you have any views on that, I would love to hear what they are, as are your views about anything else that I've spoken about, shown you, anything. I'm happy to hear all and have a blather. So, shall we move on to the berry razzlers now? As I said earlier, I have got a few that are new floss tubers, new to me floss tubers, and who are people I've mentioned before. So I'm going to try and be reasonably quick in getting through this. So first person I've got is Shauna. Her channel is Stitching Shauna, and again, as normal, I will pop everybody down below that links directly to their floss tubes. She's recently posted her first video, her first floss tube, and she comes over as an absolute sweetheart of a person. She's lovely. She shows a current kind of whip parade of what she's working on, and she has some really lovely projects. She has a real love of colour that just comes through her work, be it in her fabric choices, her floss choices, and just you can just see by looking at her work, she loves colour. She's doing a long dog sampler, tap dancers. It's not one I've seen anybody else stitch before now. It literally is dancing on taps, tap dancers. It's a fabulous piece, but her choice of fabric and floss is not what you would expect. I'll let you go and look for yourself. She loves bright colour. She's also stitching what they called Garden Party by Satsuma Street. She's doing it in both colourways. There's a warm colourway and there's a cold colourway, or a cool colourway. She's stitching both. She just loves colour. So that's interesting to see. It's bright, it's joyous, it's fab. And the other thing that jumped out at me from her first video is she's stitching a beautiful Owl Forest embroidery sampler style called Red Cardinal, and it's lovely, and it makes me feel slightly jealous that we don't have cardinals this side of the pond. We have robins, which are just beautiful and special, and they're kind of like sentimentally special too, because we have our saying here, in the States, possibly Candy, you'd say cardinals appear when loved ones are near. We are the same with robins. They are our kind of like spiritual bird, so to speak, and they're lovely, cheerful, gorgeous little birds who everybody gets excited when they see a robin. Our garden centre, local garden centre in this town, has a little robin that on nice days they have the door open into the coffee shop. It's got a nice big coffee shop area, and this little robin that comes in and flies around and kind of has a look to see what people are eating, and everybody gets really, really excited when the robin appears. So they're beautiful, they're cute, but they're just not quite as, they don't have the wow factor of a cardinal. I've never seen a cardinal in real life, but they just seem so stunningly beautiful that I'm a little bit bitter and twisted that we don't have any this side of the pond. Whether that means I should do some this side of the pond by stitching them, or whether that makes it inappropriate for me to stitch them because we don't have them locally. You know me, I'm a sucker for local wildlife and woodland animals and that in stitches. But yeah, I would be surprised if we saw a cardinal walking through the woods here. So that's Shauna, Stitching Shauna. Go and have a look at her channel. Next one I've got here is Sarah, from Threads and Tales with Sarah. Again, a reasonably new channel who is, yeah, she's racing up the people supporting her. She's getting so many views and subscribers. She's fabulous. It's well deserved. It's really well deserved. She's a lovely lady. She's been stitching for a long time. But this is her new channel. She's so far got 4 videos up, 3 of which are short. They're only 10 minutes long, and then she's got one which is over an hour long, if I remember rightly, where she talks about a retreat that she's been to and all the stash that she's got. She does like a whole parade, which is, she's got some gorgeous stuff in there. But she's shown kind of stuff that she's working on just now. She's shown us previous stitches that she's had framed. She's kind of got a gallery wall behind her. She talks about her life, how she's got to where she is in life for like real life as well as stitchy life, and it's not been an easy journey for her, but she's lovely. And those 10-minute ones, I mean, I'm trying to be more respectful of time today, because I know I waffle on, but those 10-minute ones are lovely when you're like, oh, I'm just sitting waiting to go out, I've only got a few minutes. And she packs a punch into those short videos as well. I would love to have that skill to do it. But yes, absolutely worth a visit to Sarah of Threads and Tales with Sarah. She's got gorgeous stitching, lots of different styles. You will find something there that makes you happy. Next person on my list is a very well established floss tuber. I think she's got over 200 videos up just now, and that's Christine from Calico Whimsy. She does beautiful stitching. She also does a lot of Mill Hill, be it the little decorations or the big framed pieces, as it beads and buttons, I think, I can't remember, but she does lots and lots and lots of Mill Hills. She's currently working through the Fireman Mill Hills, the ornaments, Christmas ornaments. She just recently finished the EMT one for her son, who is an EMT, and she's possibly going to go on and do the fire service one, because that's where he would like to go in the future. That would be his career progression, would become join the fire service. But he's EMT just now, so I don't know if you've seen any of the Mill Hill, the fireman decorations. They've got lots and lots of different ones. They're different nationalities. They've been on the go for several years, and there are lots out there. She's on a mission to stitch every single one of them. So lots and lots of Mill Hills. She also does a lot of felt stitching with things like the Priscilla felt kits, and she actually has well, it's not a separate felt tube, but she has a channel within her channel where she has lots and lots of felt videos, which made my Priscilla loving heart very, very happy, and I'm thoroughly enjoying looking kind of like to see what there is, and I know I'm going to pick up lots and lots of hints and tips between her and Garrett. Yeah, I feel well catered for. So very, very happy to have found her. She's her vlogging style is it is vlogging style. It's very much like Tasha of Breeches Got Stitches, a kind of ongoing dip in and out through the day and then a bit of a recap at the end. So I'm very, very happy to have found Christine. The next person is Leslie from A Nurse and Her Needle. Now, she's now 3 videos in to her Flosstube channel, and from video 1 she's just skyrocketed. she has taken the Flosstubeverse by storm, and the algorithm just adores her, as well it should. She's lovely. She's really nice. So she's, let's say, she's 3 videos in now, and in her videos she shows you works in progress, the things that she's working on just now, kind of mixed in with previous projects that she's finished. She kind of gives you a mix of what's current and what's in the past. Projects I've never seen before. A fabulous autumn trees one, that's a previous finish. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. Would recommend you go and see that. In her 3rd video, I was particularly taken. She's working on Plum Street Samplers, A Shepherd's Song, and just the colours of it is just beautiful. I know it's a BAP and there's a lot of work in it, but it's lovely. It's really nice. And the other thing that caught my eye in her latest video, not cross stitch related, she's crocheting a cardigan. And from what I understand, she's quite new to crochet. And she said herself, you know, it's like, oh, start a new hobby. Let's actually just go in and make myself something to wear. You know, throw myself in at the deep end. This cardigan is fabulous. It's so cool. Love it. So that really razzled my berry. It's not cross stitch related, but I just loved it. So go and have a look for that if you like crocheting. She's doing a grand job with her cardigan. So then I've got a few people who I've mentioned before, that I kind of wanted to just mention again briefly. The first is Alana from Mrs. Smith Stitches. She's just so fab. She said the loveliest things about me in her latest video. I didn't recognise myself. She was far too kind and generous, because I'd reached out to her off the back of her previous video, where, I don't know if you'll remember if you've been here before, I spoke about her grandson, Elijah, who had been born 8 weeks prematurely, and she'd been stitching Mighty Acorns Blackbird design, I can't remember, and so had dedicated it to Elijah, because obviously he was such a little toot, and had full faith that this little acorn into a mighty oak will grow. So she dedicated that to Elijah. And I kind of reached out to her, and I'm delighted to say that Elijah is home with his family, and he's doing well, which is fabulous news. That's all we could hope for. You know, we all have our stitchy worlds, and you know, we get very wrapped up in them and what we're achieving and what we want to do next and all that. But real life happens as well, and real life isn't always easy, and difficult things happen, and worrying things happen, and a baby being born 8 weeks prematurely is tough. It's tough on all the family, parents, grandparents, everybody, even just the logistics of juggling the siblings and getting to hospital and all that kind of stuff is really stressful, let alone the worry of a tooty little bubba in the NICU. So I'm delighted to hear that Elijah is home. Alana, thank you for saying such incredibly nice things about me. I'm not sure who you were talking about. I'm sure it can't possibly be me. But the cheque will be in the post as soon as I can find my checkbook. I've actually had some really lovely shout outs from people recently. Like I say, I'll send you all cheques when I find my checkbook, because I'm sure I don't deserve it. But delighted to hear that news. And also, I must say, she likes this time of year, autumn and autumn stitching as well. She's just finished Cinnamon Stars, and she's kind of mounted it in a dark wood frame, you know, one of these kind of like signs that you get from, well, I think you get on Hobby Lobby and that kind of thing. We get them in the range, that kind of stuff, where there's like a printed thing and then it's got a wooden frame around it. So she's just covered over that. It's the perfect size for it, and it's quite a dark wood. It's fabulous. Cinnamon Stars is a gorgeous chart at the best of times, and she's done a beautiful job of it. So go and see that. She's lovely, lovely stitches, and she's ditzy. And I don't mean that in a horrible way. She's like me. She'll get halfway through a sentence and then squirrel. And yeah, she's just fabulous. She's a joy to watch. So I've mentioned Alana before. And I'm mentioning her again because she absolutely deserves it. Next person I am going to mention briefly is Sarah from Sew Me Sarah. Now, I would imagine most of you will have come across Sarah. She is a beautiful, beautiful stitcher, works on gorgeous things. She's a lovely person. She's incredibly wise and genuinely caring and empathetic. You know, she's a lovely person, and very wise and very considered in her words, with a really good outlook in life. And that's the kind of bit I wanted to go on here. Her stitching is fabulous. Absolutely go and look at her stitching. You will love it. You will be enabled. You will buy lots and lots of things because that's just what she does. She shows you things that you're like, oh, I want to stitch that. But I wanted to give her a shout out particularly because in her latest video, she gives us a bit of a PSA, a public service announcement, which is actually really important. She talks about floaters in your eyes, that she's had some problems recently and had eventually gone to speak to somebody about it, and they're completely innocent, hers. It's an aging thing, because, you know, there's nothing that life wants to do more after plaguing women with periods for decades than to just mess with our hormones again. And it's one of those things that happens. Possibly floaters happens to men as well, but yeah, aging doesn't come alone. But it can also be the sign of something much more sinister, and something that can rob you of your eyesight. Now, as stitchers, we rely on our eyesight. Everybody relies on their eyesight. Nobody wants to lose their eyesight. But I imagine we would be utterly bereft if we started to have problems with our eyesight. At the same time, we're all very good at saying, oh, it's nothing, I'm fine, it's nothing, it'll go away, it's not bothering me that much. It might bother you more in the future. So go and see Sarah and listen to what she has to say and protect your eyesight, because you never know if it might be you that wakes up one day with floaters and you don't know if they are completely innocent or if maybe they're the sign of something that possibly needs a bit more attention and possibly a little bit quicker, than just thinking, I'll be fine, I'll give it a week, I'll be fine. So for that, Sarah, thank you very much for bringing that to my attention, and everybody else's attention who has watched you, and I am happy to pass that message forward, that if you haven't seen it already, go watch her latest video, take on board what she says, because if it makes a difference for even just one of us, it's absolutely worth it. So the last few people I've got to mention, and we really are at kind of the very end of it here, I've got Lorraine from Shanebrook Cottage, Tasha from Britches Got Stitches, I've mentioned already, and both Carol and Jennifer from Two Tall Stitchers. I would like to say a huge congratulations to these 4 lovely, lovely ladies who have all been awarded ribbons for their cross stitch and quilting in their local shows recently. Well done. I'm sure there's possibly other people out there who have received ribbons and placings in their shows. I am so far behind on Flosstube. I think I've got over 260 sitting on my watch later list, of which I'll never get caught up on that. I'm sure that there's a few I could, you know, it's the same people and multiple episodes, but I'm so far behind. So there's possibly lots of other people who I just haven't watched their videos and seen that yet, or obviously I've not been on Instagram to see that they've commented on it there. But to those 4 ladies in particular who I know have won ribbons, congratulations. They are very well deserved. You are all fabulous stitchers and sewers who deserve the recognition. And if I haven't yet come across you and you've won a ribbon, or placed or just participated, give yourself a toot below. Tell me. I'd love to hear. We don't have that same kind of shows here. I did look at the kind of entry requirements for our local kind of country shows, and they don't really have cross stitch sections. I mean, it's quite a small rural area, and it's small rural shows, agricultural shows. you know, it's not like the state fairs and that kind of thing. There's nothing like that here, and there's nothing that would be appropriate really for a cross stitcher to submit to. But I know how exciting it is to have your work recognised in that way. So congratulations to them all. And speaking of which, I didn't mention Jennifer from Two Tall Stitches. She's somebody I follow. Oh, I follow her and her mum because they're hysterical. They're so funny, and they also do really awesome stitching. Both of them have really good projects, and I love watching their quilting. As somebody who would dearly love to be able to quilt, I love seeing what they come up with. They always have like a quilt behind them to talk about. But Jennifer in particular is stitching Gathering Acorn, so I've been enjoying watching her progress on that. Jennifer, if you're watching this, I'm going to start it. Thank you. I'm going to start it. That's going to be that stitch along, but I'm going to finally do it next month. Who else did I want to mention? Oh yes, Tasha from Britches Got Stitches. I've kind of mentioned a couple of times in this video, but she's also doing the Emerald City Sal. You need to go and look at her recent floss tube to see what she's using for the fabric. She's mad. She's given herself so much work, but oh good grief, it's going to be fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. She's doing it in quite a difficult way as well. She's given herself extra work to do, but the payoff is going to be phenomenal. I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's her story to tell. But yeah, go and have a look at lovely Tasha and her fabric choice. And speaking of Emerald City, the other one who I've seen is lovely Samantha, the Hygge Stitcher. I love watching her videos. I love her enthusiasm and her passion, especially for like Fancy Lady. She loves the fairies with the beautiful kind of gossamer wings. They're just gorgeous. Not something I've ever stitched myself, but yeah, she stitches hard stuff. All the Fancy Ladies, Teresa Wenslers, all that. But she stitched Emerald City, and in her most recent video, she shows that, you know, she took it to be professionally framed, and she's shown what she has chosen for the mount and the frame. It's so exciting. It's not what you would expect. It's a little bit out of the box, but it's wonderful. I'm so excited to have seen that she's got to that stage, and hopefully by her next video she'll have had the fully finished frame piece returned to her, so we'll get to see it in all its glory. So excited to see that. So yeah, that's a couple of Emerald Cities that are either being worked on just now or are being framed, and that I just wanted to, as an aside, mention. So I think that's us pretty much there, other than our Scottish word of the day. Pedro. I shall reach him down. I have to say, I was really traumatised when Pedro arrived, because he sits nicely, so he's very cute, and he's lovely and soft and squishy, and he's very fluffy. But Pedro, when he arrived, he was vacuum bagged. He wasn't in any packaging, he was just vacuum bagged with a sticker over his bottom with the address on it. And he was so squished. It was just so cruel. I was like, oh, that's awful. I can answer more that word. Cuddly toys. Squishies at the best of times. But it just, how could you do that to him? But anyway, as I said, this is Pedro. This is my little frog. And the reason Pedro is here to talk about the Scottish word of the day is it's in honour of him. The Scottish word for a frog is a puddock. So it's Pedro the puddock. Puddock can also cover toads as well, but it's predominantly frogs. My mum used to collect puddocks, little ornaments, and you know, she would normally end up with a puddock for her birthday or Christmas or something. So yes, one of those random words, again, like last month, or last video, when I changed my word of the day to scunnered because I was so completely scunnered with technology. It wasn't going to be my word of the day, but then I thought, he deserves the recognition. He deserves you to know that he is a puddock. He looks quite wise there. Quite serious and wise. But yes, so that's a random word. So it's you don't have to say that you're frogging now. You can say that you had a visit from the puddock. You had to go puddocking to rip your stitches out. So that is Scottish word of the day, and I think that's us there. we're below an hour 40. We'll be over an hour 40 by the time I say goodbye. So yes, let's say goodbye for now. I will be back in a couple of weeks. It's kind of like an end of month roundup. And maybe by then I'll have a decision whether I want to move weekly or not. I don't know. Part of me doesn't want to because I spend so much time preparing. You know, I overthink it and write notes and get everything organised and fiddle around, and yeah, it's several hours before filming a video, and to do that weekly, that's a lot of stitchy time gone. But at the same time, maybe it would be easier than trying to. But then I need to see with getting the house to myself, and also Ailey and I need to try and find some time together to go over the technical side of recording, because yeah, time is passing and we need to do that. So I'll be back in a couple of weeks, end of the month, probably start of September it'll be, with a catch up of what I've been up to in those 2 weeks. Hopefully I will have new things to show you. I'll have new lovely berry razzlers to tell you about, because there are so many people, and hopefully things will have gone well. In the meantime, take really good care of you and those you love, and even strangers on the street. Costs nothing to be kind. Smiling at somebody might just make their day. You never know. And it's certainly not going to cost you anything to pass on a little bit of kindness in the world. The world is a tough place. A little bit of kindness goes a long way. I hope you get lots and lots of happy times with the people you love, and I hope you get lots and lots of time to do the things that make you happy. And if you can tie the two together, then job's a good one. So take good care of yourselves. Make time for what's important to you. Create those moments of joy. Think of them as stepping stones to get through everyday life as you jump across the murky river of that happens out there. And I will catch up with you again soon. As I said, be kind, be good to yourself. Don't always put everybody else first. There's a reason that, what are they called now? Not air hostesses, that's so dated. But cabin crew, yeah. There's a reason they tell you to put your own mask on before putting somebody else's mask on. You can't give of yourself if you haven't nourished yourself. Look after yourself. Don't prioritise everybody else all of the time. You count too. And yeah, I will catch up with you in a couple of weeks. I'm here in the meantime. If you want to say hello, leave a comment. A like would be lovely. A subscribe would be fantastic if you feel like it. And if you want, you can hit the little bell button down below to get an alert that will let you know when I do next post. But until then, I hope the world is kind to you. Take good care.